When Priyanka Gandhi Vadra began recounting what she called the darkest night of her life at the DMK's Women's Rights Conference on October 14, she immediately struck an emotional chord with a predominantly Tamil women audience. Invoking Periyar twice in her speech, Priyanka left the audience with a thought provoking question on why women continue to be enslaved. This was before demanding that the Women's Reservation Bill be passed immediately.
In this meeting, Priyankaji's emotional speech is heartbreaking to all of us. When she sat put on this land, Tamil Nadu, after 32 years, when she had come to collect her father's shattered body. Despite that, the family has continued to sacrifice and committed to work for this nation. That is something very deeply moving.
Congress MP Jyothimani explains why Priyanka could strike a chord with the Tamil women and how the conference could well be an electoral campaign of the India Alliance. The conference, organized by the DMK Women's Wing and helmed by its leader Kanimozhi to commemorate the birth centenary of former Chief Minister M Karunanidhi, brought some formidable women in power from across the country together. Perhaps it sought to send out a strong message against what they called the political gimmicks of the BJP to woo the women voter.
But despite this, BJP continued to lie that we have passed the Reservation Bill, nothing is coming out of the bill. That is the truth. This conference has completely exposed their lies.
Leader after leader spoke about the Women's Reservation Bill. They said the BJP should immediately implement it instead of putting it off indefinitely. Of course, they also repeatedly pointed to the BJP's alleged double standards on women's issues. It might be pertinent to note that there has been an increase in the female electorate since the 2019 parliamentary election. In comparison to the 3.6% increase in male electors, the increase in female electors is 5.1%. This was shared by Chief Election Commissioner Sushil Chandra in his message for National Voters' Day in January. The BJP, by choosing to introduce the Women's Reservation Bill this year, perhaps planned to steal a march over its rivals ahead of the parliamentary elections, but the Women's Rights Conference in Chennai sought to shatter the dream. Jyothimani says the conference has exposed the BJP's lies completely. In her terse speech at the conference, Trinamool Congress leader Sushmita Dev took a dig at the grand but non-performing schemes of the BJP for women. She said the schemes like Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao were more about serving as advertisements for the Prime Minister and that the Nirbhaya funds remained idle, while women largely rejected the Ujjwala scheme.
Friends, compare Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. His Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao campaign is nothing but an advertising and PR excess for Prime Minister Modi. I am sad to say that Nirbhaya shook the nation, but the funds remains unutilized. I am happy that women got the Ujjwala scheme, but the majority have rejected it.
Triggered by the criticisms, the BJP was quick to give back. State BJP President K. Annamalai called the conference a farce that platformed women who were heirs of their influential fathers or relatives. The BJP was genuinely keen to break the glass ceiling for the women with no background, he said.
இந்த மகளிர் உரிமை மாநாட்டில் யாரெல்லாம் மேடையின் மீது இருந்தார்கள் என்று பார்த்தோம் என்றால், தந்தையினுடைய பெயர், சொந்தக்காரங்க பேர், அவங்கள வச்சு யாரெல்லாம் பெண்கள் அரசியலுக்கு வந்து எம்பவர்டுன்னு அவங்க சொல்லியிருக்காங்களோ அவங்களை அரசியல் மேடையில் வைத்து நம்முடைய பாரத பிரதமர் நரேந்திர மோடி அவர்கள் கொண்டு வந்திருக்கக்கூடிய 33% பெண்களுக்கான பாராளுமன்றம் நம்முடைய சட்டமன்றத்தில் உள்ளொதுக்கீடை கிரிட்டிசைஸ் பண்ணியிருந்தாங்க. பாரத பிரதமர் நரேந்திர மோடி அவர்களுடைய அந்த 33% உள்ளொதுக்கீடு என்பது நம்ம அனைவருக்குமே தெரியும். எந்தவித பின்னணியும் இல்லாம அரசியல்ல உண்மையாலுமே கிளாஸ் சீலிங், ஒரு பெண்களுக்கு கடுமையான பல சூழ்நிலை அரசியல் இருக்கு. அதையெல்லாம் உடைத்து தகர்த்தெறிந்து வரக்கூடிய ஒரு சாதாரண பெண்மணிக்காக இந்த 33% உள்ளொதுக்கீடு கொண்டு வரப்பட்டிருக்கிறது.
DMK spokesperson and Women's Wing social media coordinator Yalini PM, however, refuted the charges and said that the BJP was always anti-women and took the side of the oppressors.
The BJP and the RSS has been taking the women of India for a ride for a very long time. In fact, they have been burdening the women of India with a high cost of living since they came to the power. The security for the women of the nation in India is also a very big question mark. We know this because we know a lot of examples. One being the premature release of the sexual assailants of Bilkis Bano case, or the inhuman treatment in case of the Unnao rape case or the Asifa case, and most importantly, how the Indian wrestlers, specifically the women wrestlers, how they were treated in public light and hounded by the national media, and the number of threats that the BJP gave to the Indian wrestlers. All these instances shows us that the BJP stands only with the oppressors and will never stand with the women of India.
She also added that such women-oriented conferences were not new to the Dravidian movement.
The conferences like that of this Women's Rights Conference is not new for the Dravidian land. In fact, during this Women's Reservation Conference, Tirumagi Supriya Sule had mentioned about the conference which was held in 1929 in Chengalpet. This conference in 1929 was the first self-respect conference headed by Periyar, where many resolutions were passed seeking for the rights for women. In fact, it was during one such women conferences that the title of Periyar was given to him.
Yalini also pointed out how the DMK had defeated Sonia Gandhi for her efforts to pass the Women's Reservation Bill in the Rajya Sabha.
Dravida Munnetra Kazhagam has always been keen on passing this Women Reservation Bill in the Parliament. Right from 1996, in fact. There have been many instances of rallies, protests, resolutions passed in the state, and a number of letters which have been written to the current Prime Minister Modi and also the previous Prime Ministers. In fact, late Chief Minister M Karunanidhi had applauded the Sonia Gandhi and Manmohan Singh when the reservation bill was passed in the Rajya Sabha without any conditions.
Leaders at the DMK conference also criticized the BJP for what they called its infamous tokenism. Sushmita Dev said the regressive and the anti-women regime would be brought down in the election by the India bloc.
Not till 2037, the last time the Delimitation Commission was set up, it took 6 years to give a report. 6 years that India parties will come to power in 2024 and oust this regressive and anti-woman regime that is ruling the country and convert and turn this Women's Reservation Act into the greatest enabler in the history of this country for women amendment.
In effect, the DMK's Women's Rights Conference might have been the first platform to bring together some noted women leaders from the India Alliance. It had them speaking about the BJP's alleged lack of commitment towards women's issues and rights. In doing so, the conference might have effectively become the first campaign of the alliance, and around an issue where the BJP has often found itself on a shaky ground. The BJP's decision to table the Women's Reservation Bill seems to be an effort to woo the women voter, especially after the protest of women wrestlers in Delhi over sexual harassment and the violence against women in Manipur. Will the conference help maintain the momentum it has created for the India Alliance as the elections approach? Will the BJP still manage to woo the female electorate? We will know the answer in the summer of 2024.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.